Hey guys, what's up? My name is Bob Fishy, and today we're going to be going over my Resonator Fire Fist deck. So this was recently featured on a megacapitalg video, so we're going to go ahead and show off what it is, because a couple of people were asking for deck profiles. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it. I don't want to talk for too long, so we're going to go ahead and talk about... I'm just going to list off all the cards, and then I'll talk about stuff afterwards. If you don't really care, you don't have to watch that. So first off, 3-red Resonator, very good card generally. It's such a good support card for like everything. I love the design on it. It's good without being like broken, so cool. 2 copies of Caribou. He's your combo piece for this. You can go +4 with these two, which is really nice. The pluses that you make aren't monstrously overpowered, which is why it isn't like an overpowered combo, but at the same time, it's still really good, and it allows this deck to at least compete with some of the big stuff. 2 copies of Rooster to complete the combo, and he's just a good card generally. Now, a couple of people were like complaining, like, oh, I draw into Rooster occasionally. It's like, you know what? Honestly, he's not the worst thing to draw into. He's got a couple of good effects, especially the one that lets you pop your own fire formation to get a new one. Really nifty. Honestly, I don't mind drawing into him. I mean, it's not ideal, but I don't mind. Alright, so that's the main combo pieces there. Now, the rest of the stuff, this is just kind of generic good Fire Fist monsters. Dragon, the best one. Bear, second best. Gorilla, third best. And then Boar, he's okay. He's a tuner, so he's nice. And if he's destroyed by battle, you get to summon 1 Fire Fist monster from your deck, which is kind of handy. This guy can like pop domains and stuff. This one can pop monsters, and if he does battle damage, you get more fire formations. But this guy's the really good one. Basically, he lets you special summon Fire Fist monsters from the deck. There's a bit of a cost to it. Or, sorry, not the deck, the graveyard. There's a bit of a cost to it, but at the same time, it is really, really good to be able to go into Cardinal with this guy, so that's cool. And then last for monsters, 3 copies of Wolfbark. You can add Max C to this deck if you want, but Wolfbark is, Wolfbark's it for me. I only run a couple of monsters, honestly. And Wolfbark is really good. Not saying I would drop Wolfbark for Max C. You can make room for Max C, but I don't. Anyways, next up, we are going to go ahead and go to spells and 3 Resonator Call. A lot of people don't like running 3 copies of a search card with only 3 targets, but in my opinion, it's really necessary for this deck. You need to be able to get to your red Resonators very, very quickly. Otherwise, you're just playing slow old deck, and that's really not ideal. So 3 of this. Then, of course, 3 Tanky, because this is Fire Fist, and you need it. 2 copies of Tensu. It's just a good card to have as like an extra normal summon. You don't need 3 in my opinion. It gets a little cloggy sometimes, and honestly, what are you going to do with like 2 of them in your hand? Then 1 copy of Gecko. This card is actually kind of trollsy. Basically, if you've got like Rooster on the field, you can pop like a Tenki or whatever, and then just like flip this up. And then if they've got like a Solemn set, it's going to mean that they're either going to have to burn their Solemn, killing your Rooster, and it's like, that's not bad. Or they get their Solemn locked down and they can't use it for anything else. So either way, it's actually really nice to bait out cards. And then sometimes you just draw it and you can like activate it. And, you know, it's just an extra Fire Fist or Fire Formation. So, you know, not bad. Okay, 1 copy of Raigeki because it's good. 1 copy of Foolish Burial because it's necessary in any deck that runs Wolfbark, in my opinion. Then we've got 2 copies of Instant Fusion to go with Foolish Burial, and just like to get plays generally, it's really good. Then we've actually got 2 copies of Circle of the Fire Kings. This is a really, really good card. Basically, you pop one of your Fire Fist, or like any of your fire monsters to get a fire monster from your graveyard. So you can get like Wolfbark, and he's a +1. You can get, you know, any of your big monsters. You can get a bear if you're just attacking for damage. You can do a lot of stuff with this that actually make it really, really good. And also, what did you call it? Caribou's second effect is if he's destroyed by a card effect, you get to summon 1 Fire Fist monster during the end phase. And this can actually trigger that, so that's cool. 1 Onslaught of the Fire Kings. It's really nice to be able to get your Caribou from the deck. Turn, like, you know, if you're going second, you can just like, okay, I'm going to activate this. And now, it's just good. 1 copy of Magic Planter because we run a lot of continuous traps. So that's it for the spells. It's kind of concise. You could feel free to add like a Soul Charge or something. That's definitely something that you could consider. There's a couple of different options that you can consider. A lot of them are very good in my opinion, so feel free to experiment with that. Anyways, for traps, we've got 2 strike and a warning. You can up this to 3. You can down it to 1. I do recommend keeping a strike or 2. 1 copy of Vanities. Functions really well with like Magic Planner. The Fire Fist monsters can generally send their fire formations to the graveyard if you want to end it. and not lose any resources doing so. So generally, it fits really well in this deck, so I like it. Then 3 Fiendish Chain, again, fits really well in this deck. It's not as good as certain other cards against the meta decks right now, but it's still good, and it stays on the field, even if, like, the opposing, if the opposing monsters use just, like, a Synchro or whatever, so you can Magic Planner it pretty easily. It's just kind of an option that's there. 1 copy Call of the Haunted, same idea as Fiendish Chain. It stays on the field if you, like, Xyz or whatever, but, it also, like, a lot of your monsters are +1s. Bear can be a +1. What you call it? Oh gosh, what's it called? Gorilla can be a +1 if he destroys a monster. Your Wolf Barks are all +1s. If you have a Nord in the graveyard, that can be a +1. Just, like, getting all sorts of cards off of this. And then when you use them as, like, materials, you can just Magic Planner it later. And then last up, and this is actually the reason I run Magic Planner, Tencent is searchable off of Dragon, and it's not the worst thing ever, and it's a Magic Planner target. It's just good generally. You can actually run 2 of this. I used to, but I dropped 1 for a Solemn, which I think was a good idea, but I would never run this without at least 1 of these. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it for the traps. It's 40 cards in the deck, and yeah, I think it works pretty well. But here's the fun part. Let's go ahead and look at the extra deck. So, first off, 2 copies of Tiger King. He's good just to be able to get a plus, off of his summon. Plus, he can negate effects. It's not super duper relevant, but it actually does come up against the Cosmos and stuff, so it's good. Next up, 2 copies of Cardinal because he's just so good. He just, like, he's double Castel, and you can hit your opponent's graveyard. He's just so good. Okay, so basically the idea here is you can send 2 of any sort of combination of Fire Fist or Fire Formations from your field or graveyard back to your deck. Usually I'll hit like a Tensu and a Dragon, send them both to the deck so I can reuse them later. And then you can spin anything that's face up on your opponent's side of the field or graveyard, 2 cards. So it does target, so it's not quite as good as Madolche's, but you can use your Tiger King to negate effects so that you can target like Cosmos and stuff. So yeah, this card is double Castel, and you can hit the graveyard. It's so good. The rest of the rank 4s are just kind of toolboxy. So Dweller, Cowboy, he's actually good. You can Cowboy for game, and it's really funny. Castel, I already said I have double Castel in Cardinal, but at the same time, this guy is makeable off of Wolfbark, so he's really good. And then 1 Dark Rebellion, and none of these are numbers, so Utopic Future is in here as well. And then for fusions, we've got 1 Norden, and then for synchros, and this is kind of the funny ones. I actually only run 5 synchros, but 2 copies of Horse Prince because he's important. 1 copy of Kieran because you can make him and he's okay. 1 copy of Crimson Blader because you can make him and he's good. And then 1 copy of Trish because you can make him and he's so freaking awesome. I love Trishula. This is like, when I found out I could make Trish in this deck, I was like, oh, I need it. So that's why we run Trish. Side deck is specifically geared towards locals, so I'll just buzz through it really quick. 2 Maxi, 2 System Down, 2 MST, which should be Twin Twisters, but they're not. 2 Divine Wrath, because it's good, because you can send stuff from your hand to the graveyard and Wolfbark it or whatever. 3 Imperial Iron Wall, because it's amazing against a lot of stuff. 2 Restrict, because Domain Monarchs are still annoying. And 2 Shadow Impersonating Mirror, because I like it. Okay, and BA and stuff. Anyways, that's the deck. So if you guys were just looking for deck profile, that's what I'm running. And, of course, like I said, this is geared towards locals, not, like, regionals or anything, so keep that in mind. Anyway, for anyone that's still watching, I will show you this real quick. I'll just go over the combos really quickly and explain why they work. So, main one is your Red Resonator Caribou play. So, Red Resonator, activate, summon Caribou from the hand, and then you synchro them. And when you synchro these guys, you can go ahead and make your Horse Prince. Now, Horse Prince and Caribou both activate at the same time. And the reason these guys both activate at the same time, so a lot of people, when they try to say, like, oh, this combo shouldn't work, they cite the Shaddoll ruling. And the Shaddoll ruling is that when a Shaddoll monster hits the graveyard because of Shaddoll Fusion, its effect activates, and, the chain order in which they activate cannot be chosen by the player. It automatically goes, because one of them hit the graveyard before the fusion actually hit the field or whatever. The reason this works is, in Fire Fist, is because of how this guy's worded. So basically, when this guy is used as the synchro material for the successful synchro summon of a Fire Fist synchro monster, you can activate his effect. Now, the reason that works is because, the important thing is the line, the successful synchro summon. So that means that this guy has to hit the field, and they activate at the same time because of that, because his effect doesn't activate until this guy is on the field. So Shaddoll's, they activate when they hit the graveyard regardless, but this guy does not. And that makes, they activate at the same time. Anyways, so you're going to go ahead and make this guy Chainlink 1 and this guy Chainlink 2. And when that happens, so this guy will let you search a fire formation from your deck. So for that, you're going to go ahead and, I usually search, if you don't already have a Tanky, you go ahead and search your Tanky. So, Tanky, and we'll set that. Then this guy activates, and I keep saying this guy, Horse Prince activates, letting you special summon a level 3 Fire Fist from your deck. That's Rooster. Rooster activates, allowing you to go ahead and add one level 4 or lower Fire Fist monster from your deck. And we're going to go ahead and add Dragon. Usually, you can add whatever you want, but Dragon is, in my opinion, the best one. So then you've got 1 card in hand and 4 on the field, right? And that's just off of, your 2 cards. So then you go ahead and flip this up. This is Tanky. It lets you search your Wolfbark. Well, it lets you search anything, but you go ahead and search your Wolfbark if you don't already have one. Wolfbark is in your hand now, so that's, all that. Rooster activates. You send this to the graveyard to go ahead and set a Tensu. Here's Tensu. And you flip that up. Then you get your extra normal summon off of Tensu. So you normal summon this guy, your Wolfbark, activate Wolfbark, special summon Caribou from your graveyard, overlay these two into a Tiger King. Tiger King's effect activates. That lets you set whatever you want, usually a Tensin. So you've got this field, and then this in hand, plus your other 4 cards. So you're at +4 off of this. Now, of course, these cards aren't necessarily the best to go plus with. Like, there are a lot of cards that are better. But at the same time, anything that can make all this advantage and then still have the rest of their hand to work with, if you run a lot of back row. I run a fair bit of back row, and this allows you to kind of protect your stuff. And you basically, you make a pretty good field. And then the next turn, you can usually summon this guy and then, make like a cardinal or whatever. It's it's a really consistent play. And then the last thing I'll show you is just a really, really basic thing that's kind of important for when you play against Cosmos, because believe me, you will play against Cosmos. So, this requires you to have literally any Fire Fist monster, or like any, Fire Fist monster in your graveyard. And then either like these, or like this and this, or whatever. Like, generally speaking, this and this, or this and this. This one's the only one that doesn't really work. Anyways, or actually, this and this. This works too. So, when you're up against Cosmos, you'll see this a lot where they just have like a ship that can't be targeted, like a Dark Destroyer or something, as well as maybe like a Cosmotown. And you don't want them to have that, right? So you go ahead and activate this, and you get your Wolfbark off of that, right? Or say you have like a dragon in hand, right? You go ahead and activate your Tanky. Now you get a Wolfbark in hand as well. Summon Wolfbark, activate, summon, overlay into Tiger King. Tiger King activates. You get to set this from your hand. From your deck. Activate Tiger King, detach your Caribou. That lets you go ahead and negate the effects of all non-Beast Warriors on the field. That's all your opponent's Cosmo ships and stuff. Then you go ahead and activate your Tensu. Normal this guy. Activate Dragon's effects. Send these to the graveyard. Summon this. And then make some nice Cardinal action. And then just ruin your opponent's field. So you detach these two. And then you can send back, like, your Tensin and a Dragon, so you can use these later. And congratulations, you have successfully gotten rid of 2 of your opponent's cards for 2 cards. And then you can go ahead and attack with both of these for 4k life points, then go to main phase 2, and overlay them for Utopic Future and Cosmo Cries. It doesn't always work, or, it doesn't work if they've got, like, Cosmo Joe or whatever, but, like, it's nice to have this play. Anyways, guys, that's kind of the basics. This deck is super easy to learn, so, I highly suggest you play around with it, and just have fun with it. It's definitely not meta, and it's not meta for a good reason. It's like, it's definitely easy to break if your opponent's just like, you know, can kind of kill everything, but it's so fun to play. I mean, any combo deckers is just fun to play. This isn't broken, it's just kind of okay, and it's good when it, you know, if it works, it's good, and it's just really fun. And Red Resonator is cool. He's just a cool guy. Like I said, there's a lot of wiggle room. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff you can take out and experiment with. Leave me comments if you find, you know, any certain card that works really well in this deck. I'm always happy to hear that stuff. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you later. Bye, guys.